there, it's none of my business, I know, but I couldn't help but notice, looks like psychosis. Life on relationship blow, what's going on over there? It's none of my business, I know, but I couldn't help but notice, looks like psychosis. We live on relationship road.
Molly in flat 15 is now back at work in the office for 2 days a week, and she is relieved that her firm is happy for staff to work at home for the other 3. It seems a good compromise for everyone at the moment. Things are beginning to resemble normal, and finally she has been able to visit her grandmother in person, and they are back to having a meal together once a week. She is so happy to be able to do that, and grateful to the universe that her grandma didn't get ill during the lockdown. "Grandma," she says conversationally during their weekly evening together, "there is a new person moved into number 16, the flat above me." "Really?" says Grandma. "I didn't think people would be moving just yet, but I suppose that now the lockdown is over, even moving house has to get back to some kind of normal. Have you met them yet? Do you know who it is? Is it a couple or someone on their own?" "I'm not really sure," says Molly, "but I think that it might be a guy. I just caught a quick look at someone this morning as I was leaving for the office. Of course, I might be wrong. It could be a guy staying with his girlfriend, or even a couple. Do you think I should introduce myself to them? Or will it look a bit pushy, do you think?" "Well, of course you should introduce yourself," says Grandma. "People usually like to at least know the names of their neighbours, even if they don't want to get to know them that well. It's nice to be able to say a friendly hello when you see them." "I suppose so," says Molly, who has always been a very private kind of person. She doesn't mix very easily with people her own age, and is not keen on knocking on the door of a stranger. But she also thinks that Grandma is right. It's the right thing to do. Anyway, the girl across the hall seems nice, so maybe the occupant or occupants upstairs will be nice too. "Have you spoken again to the girl opposite you?" asks Grandma, almost reading her mind. "No, not really," says Molly. "But you know, I get the feeling that she's not all that happy. I can't put a finger on it. She always smiles or waves when she sees me, but her eyes tell a different story. But then again, maybe I'm just imagining that." She laughs. "Well, now that we're not in lockdown, perhaps you could suggest having a coffee together outside that lovely grassy area you have at the flats," suggests Grandma, who always seems to give a good, wise counsel. Maybe," says Molly, evasively. She would like to do that, but she doesn't know if she has the confidence, even though it might be nice. She changes the conversation before taking her leave of Grandma and returning to her flat. Kasia in flat 18, opposite Molly, is crying again. Pavel is out jogging and she is washing up the dishes from their evening meal. She is looking out the window when she sees Molly return home. She smiles and waves to her as she does often. However, no sooner has she done this, there is a knock at the door. It's Molly. "Hi, Kasia," says Molly, immediately noticing that Kasia has been crying. Or maybe she had bad hay fever, she thinks. "I was just wondering if you fancy a coffee out on the grass one day, if you are free sometime." "That would be very nice. Thank you," says Kasia, somewhat surprised but happy about the invitation. "Can I knock on your door if I'm free?" she asks. "Of course," says Molly. "I'm working from home these days and I'm entitled to a break for lunch the same as when I'm in the office. So yes, that's probably best if you call for me." And with that she turns to open her own front door. Kasia feels her mood lift a little. It would be nice to have a friend nearby, she muses, but stops herself as she realises that perhaps she is getting ahead of herself. Still, she thinks, it will be good to meet Molly properly and see if they have anything in common. Paula is alone in number 9. She is much happier than when Sean isn't around. He has gone over to his mate's house again. He may be more at risk by going out and meeting with this group of guys, but frankly, she doesn't really care. Not anymore. It has been very hot lately, but finally there has been rain and the evenings are much cooler. Paula has made great progress sorting out her mother's clothes, and she has put them all in bags ready to take to the charity shop once it reopens and starts taking clothes again. Of course, she has kept a few personal items of her mum's for herself, but she has wrapped them carefully in tissue and hidden them inside the old wardrobe so that Sean doesn't know that she has them. Most of the items aren't really worth anything to anyone else, but there are a few things that are, especially her mum's rings. Paula has thought about wearing them, but she doesn't want to just yet. She locks the wardrobe door and puts the key in her drawer in her bedside table. Through the open window, Paula can hear the children from next door. They are playing a game in the garden when Shona calls them inside. Paula thinks that she had better take a walk now, just in case it rains again. She puts on her coat and heads down the road. She has recently been walking around the block every day. She turns left outside the house and follows the road round the bend to the end. If she goes right, she will end up in the woods, but if she goes left again, she will end up just down the road from the corner shop. She used to do this walk with her mother when she was well, but Paula stopped doing it when her mother became too ill to go with her. Paula is enjoying her walk when she sees Dan. He comes towards her to speak, and immediately Paula becomes cautious, wondering what she has done wrong. Over the past while, Sean has been rude and offensive to most of the neighbours, and so Paula tries to avoid meeting them. "Hello," says Dan. "I used to see you walking with your mother before she passed away, didn't I?" "Yes, that's right. We used to take this route most evenings." She smiles, remembering those times. "Do you remember Alice from number 3? You know, Alice and Peter? They were friendly with your mum back in the day." Yes, of course I remember them," says Paula hesitantly. "They were very kind when Mum passed away, and Alice used to visit Mum when she first became ill, but of course Mum went downhill very quickly after that. Are they okay?" "No," says Dan quickly. "I don't know if it's my place to say, but I hope I can rely on you to keep this to yourself. I could do with some help from someone who knows about these things." Paula hesitates briefly before saying, "Yes, of course, I won't say anything to anyone, but I don't know much about anything. What can I do?" Then adding sadly, "I don't really speak to anyone on the road these days anyway. What do you want to tell me?" "Well," says Dan, "Alice has got dementia, and it seems to have got worse much quicker than any of us imagined. Now Alice has gone missing and Peter is worried sick. Have you seen her by any chance? That's really why I'm out here. I'm looking for her." Paula can see that Dan is very worried and immediately realises the seriousness of the situation. "Where have you looked?" she asks. "I'll go the other way if you like and see if I can spot her. Is anyone else out looking as well?" "No," says Dan. "As I said, Peter doesn't really want anyone to know at the moment, and we all thought that she couldn't have gone far. I have left Olive with Peter. He's beside himself with worry, of course. But I've been out for over half an hour and there's no sign of her. It would be great if you have the time to help. At least you know her and now you know the situation. You will know how to deal with things. You used to work with dementia patients, didn't you? Before you left to look after your mother, that is." Paula was surprised that Dan remembered this about her, but it was true. She had worked in a specialist nursing home looking after patients with dementia, but when her mum became too ill to look after herself, Paula and Sean moved into her house and she had become the carer for her mum. Paula and Dan split up after agreeing to meet in half an hour at Dan's house to see if either of them have found Alice. Paula feels good to be doing something useful, and she hopes that she will be able to find Alice for Dan and Peter. "Thank heavens we still have light nights," she thinks to herself. as she parts from Dan and sets off on a rather more purposeful walk than she had planned. If you have something you would like to share or a concern you would like addressed, please send it in and we will try and incorporate it into the future storylines. Tune in again for the next episode of Relationship Road.
Welcome to Relationship Road, where people live just like me and you, alone or together in all kinds of weather, and most of them are scared of this flu. What's going on over there? It's none of my business, I know, but I couldn't help but notice it looks like psychosis. The pressure's starting to show. What kind of neighbor am I? Am I doing my bit for the road? My parents are elderly, my children disorderly, the whole world is suddenly slow. What's going on over there? It's none of my business, I know, but I couldn't help but notice it looks like psychosis. The pressure's starting to show. And if you need me, let me know. I will be the first to show. What's going on over there? It's none of my business, I know, but I couldn't help but notice it looks like psychosis. The pressure's starting to show. The future, well, nobody knows, but we'll do our best till then, I suppose. I've got my friends and my family, no place that I'd rather be. I'm learning to go with the flow. What's going on over there? It's none of my business, I know, but I couldn't help but notice it looks like psychosis. The pressure's starting to show. And if you need me, let me know. And I will be the first to show. What's going on over there? It's none of my business, I know, but I couldn't help but notice it looks like psychosis. Life on Relationship Road. What's going on over there? It's none of my business, I know, but I couldn't help but notice looks like psychosis.